This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. The Patriots take down the Cleveland Browns on the road, improved to 3-3 on the year. It beat them 38-15. A lot less close than a lot of us expected, I'm sure. It was a good game. We'll touch on all the goods, all the bads, all that stuff. So I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell, and a special guest, Pat Discuss. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Very good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. So I guess we'll kind of hop right into it. We'll start with you, Pat Discuss. What was kind of one of the first things that stood out to you about this game? What were kind of your initial thoughts on, I guess, the game in general?
I mean, it's the big story. It's going to be talked about all week is Zappe fever. Bailey Zappe, statistically the third best QB of the day. Over 300 yards, like 70% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's hard to look past that no matter who the opponent is, considering he's the third string quarterback, or was the third string quarterback. I'd have him over Hoyer at this point. But I mean, Zappe played a great game, and I love to see the connection between him and Thornton. I thought that was very notable, and just the offense, it clicked. It looked as best as it did all year, and I think there's a lot of good to take from this. And you're now on a winning streak. Let's see how far you can take it and see how much momentum you can build, because by the end of the year, those wins are going to matter. And so we're back to 500. Let's see how far we can go.
Yeah, the big storyline for me, obviously Zappe, but who would have thought New England holds Cleveland to 70 rushing yards? And really, if it's not for garbage time, it's maybe closer to 50, 55, 60. But New England comes in, they hold Chubb to 58 yards, something like that. The whole team to 70. They hold the ball for almost 11 minutes longer than, 35:05 to 24:55. So really almost 10 minutes longer than Cleveland does. And they control the tempo of the game. This was a game where I think you saw it like last time we played Cleveland, where the Browns offense is kind of like the Patriots offense. They're not meant to play from behind. If they get down early, they want to control the tempo. They want to be able to run the ball. And you saw it, and it was a little surprising. Cleveland comes out first play, empty formation, tries to make a pass, and then they do it, continually after that. But New England played to their advantages. Their defense was rolling again, like we saw. They were getting pressure on the quarterback. They got turnovers. They win the turnover margin 4-1. It was just, in my opinion, this was a great game plan, both offensively and defensively, where the Patriots were able to do everything they wanted on their schedule. They did not have to play to what the Browns wanted to do. They were in control the whole game from the first snap to the last one.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are two similar teams, and that's why it was kind of an intriguing matchup. As far as the defense goes for the Browns, they've been horrible against the run all year. They had Clowney out as well. Ward was out with a concussion. They did get a couple guys back. They had some injuries, though, in general. On the offensive line as well, they lost a couple guys throughout the game. But overall, I mean, I was extremely impressed with the ability to stop the run by this team. I thought that Nick Chubb was going to have a day. Usually Belichick is best at taking away what the opponent does best, but that doesn't always work out if you don't have the horses. And this year, this defense is starting to look like it may be legit. I'm not really sure how. We look at our secondary, we look at the pieces we have there, and that doesn't scream elite defense. But these rookies are stepping up. This pass rush is getting pressure on the quarterback, and they're kind of wrecking havoc back there, along with the run defense, putting them in third and long situations, and then the defense holding up in key situations like last week against the Lions. I mean, 0 for 6 on fourth down. The defense was stepping up every opportunity where it mattered against a good running football team. So I was impressed with their ability to do that today against the Browns as well.
Yeah, the other thing is right here, Cool Genuine Phil right here says it. Receivers and tight ends all played well. You finally see Hunter Henry get in the end zone. Jonnu Smith has a huge catch, and he ends up with 60 yards. But we've seen a couple receivers get 100 yards a game, which has been great. But you see 4 receivers this game going over 60 yards. And that just, shows that, New England doesn't have that true number one receiver, which I still think they're lacking to take that next elite step. But they can spread the ball out to multiple receivers and multiple different position groups and still be effective and find ways to get guys the ball and create chunk plays like they did this today. You saw Devontae Parker go up for another big time catch. Johnny Smith finally had that breakaway catch where he makes a guy miss. So it was great to see New England kind of spreading the ball around to multiple receivers. Tyquan Thornton gets involved. And in the run game too and stuff. So you saw a lot of the Patriots offensive weapons on display here, and you didn't have that one massive performance by a receiver, but you had a lot of very, very good, solid performances. And I hope that stays true when Matt comes back, because you can't just rely on Devontae Parker to be your wide receiver one. I love Devontae Parker. I think he's a great receiver, but I don't think that he's, a top 10, top 15 receiver in this league that can consistently do that every week. So you get more contribution from all these guys, it's going to be great, and it's going to help Mac Jones even more.
And I'm seeing a lot of comments about the play calling. Patricia's doing a very good job handling Bailey Zappi, calling the right
I
plays.
think you would ever say that coming into
God, no.
into this year?
And I think he's doing it well. He's keeping Zappi out of harm's way. He's treating him like a young rookie quarterback, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything like over the top. I don't think it's anything special, but he's doing the right things, which I am more than okay with. So, and I think it benefits for Zappi, the receivers, all of it. And I think it's how you should be calling plays, whether it's Mac or Zappi, is that you don't need, this isn't a chuck it downfield kind of offense. This is like you just said, distribute to everybody. You have a lot of different guys that can make plays with the balls in their hands. It's like, I think it's just the way to call it, and Matt Patricia's doing a good job with it.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him so far. I think he's learning well on the fly a little bit, and you've kind of seen that progress as the season continues. And I know this is a team that usually starts slow in September and builds their way up, but that's kind of exactly what's happening right now. The defense is starting to click, look better. The offense is starting to click and look better. I think a lot of people, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts on this are, but I think a lot of people are thinking that this is 100% has to do with Zappi, and they're giving him a lot of the credit, which I am extremely happy and extremely surprised, and couldn't have asked for any more than what he's done for us so far. He's been great for a 4th round, 3rd string rookie quarterback. I'm extremely impressed. But as far as the situation with Mac and Zappi goes, there's a lot of people in the comments. There's a lot of people in the Instagram comments as well that are talking about, oh, well, let's just keep Zappi in and replace Mac. Mac's done, whatever. Zappi has done a great job controlling the ball, running the offense, not doing anything to lose this team football games, which is impressive in itself. But as far as the whole situation goes with Mac and with Zappi, what are your thoughts on this? And do you think there is any real QB controversy, or do you think there will be any in the near future?
Go ahead. Let me say one thing real quick, and then I'll get to you. I was going to say, I don't think that there's a controversy yet. I think that if Mac Jones comes back and you continue to see this struggled with the improved offensive line, healthy receiving core, and an improved play calling system, there might be a controversy later towards the end of the year. But when Mac Jones gets healthy, this is Mac Jones' team for the near future. And the thing that Bailey Zappi's giving New England the opportunity to do with him playing so well right now is if he is not 100% healthy, you don't need to rush Mac Jones back and risk another injury. And that's what I think New England fans were thinking early in the injury is Mac Jones needs to come back because we're going to be 1-5. There's no way we can win with Hoyer or Zappi. Well, we just won 2 straight games, and we're going into a very, very winnable Monday Night Football game against the Bears team. If Mac Jones is not 100, even 95% healthy, I don't think you put him on the field and risk another injury, because he's the answer right now, and I think that he will play better when he comes back. Bailey Zappi's just giving us a luxury to let him get fully healthy.
So here's where I stand with the whole Zappi Mac Jones thing is very interesting, and it's entertaining to say the least. My thing with this is that I think you're seeing so Zappi gets plenty of credit for how he's handled himself, and he's got nice intangibles, he's playing well, and credit goes to him. I think what you're seeing is that the offense has been dumbed down for him because he is a rookie 3rd string quarterback. Like he's getting the rookie Mac Jones treatment from last year, like all the conservative play calling, not chucking it down the field on 3rd down, like stuff like that. He's being managed by Matt Patricia and Bill Belichick, which is fine, which is a good thing. With Mac Jones, what you saw this year is Patricia and Belichick opening up the offense for Mac Jones, and just giving him more free roam to make his own decisions. And he obviously made some bad decisions, throwing some picks every so often that just looked pretty bad. But I think that was part of the growing pain with Mac Jones, is that he has a lot more leeway in the offense than Bailey Zappi. Zappi is a lot more conservative. It's a lot more managed. And the argument that you had for like Matt Patricia and his play calling to start the year is that you thought it was, I would thought that it was in the best interest for the team to keep it conservative and slowly grow from there. They just kind of went out with it and were like, all right, we're going to chuck it down the field, just go everywhere. It wasn't going to work. I think what you're seeing is not, I don't think there's a huge difference between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. I don't think this whole situation is Mac Jones versus Bailey Zappi. I think it's how Patricia's calling the plays with Zappi versus Mac Jones, because Jones is the second-year guy. He's been in the offense. He has more experience, so they're letting him do more. So he's prone to more mistakes than Zappi, who's being micromanaged because he's a rookie and just keeping him out of harm's way and keeping him from burying the team, which I don't think he would anyways, but you know what I'm saying. They're being very cautious, as they should be. So I think it's Mac Jones's job when he comes back. You could argue that if they're on a winning streak, do you want to keep riding it? You could make the argument, but I think it's Mac Jones when he gets back. It's just like you said. I think you don't have to rush it now because Zappi is more than competent to keep you going.
I couldn't really agree more with what you just said. I don't think this is as much, just kind of echoing what you said. I don't think this is as much of a Zappi versus Mac thing. Like you said, just the play calling in general and how they're approaching this offensive scheme. If you threw Mac in and called the exact same plays that we've been calling with Zappi in the same situations, I think Mac Jones would be leading this offense to just as much, if not more, success. I think that's what it would be in the Lions game last week. I think the same thing this week. I get the whole ride the hot hand, the winning streak. It's a 2-game winning streak, whatever. But I mean, it's Detroit and the Browns with a backup quarterback. I just, if this was Buffalo, and I guess I'd even throw the Ravens. Like, the Ravens aren't a wagon by any means. I think they're 3-3 now as well, but they're a pretty good football team. If this was more quality wins against quality opponents, then I'd be sitting here maybe having a different conversation saying, okay, if we keep running the offense like this and he gets more comfortable, he's a rookie. The more he's going to experience, the more he's going to learn, the better he's going to get. Then I'd be okay with that. But I really don't think that this is, I think people are seeing the offense have success. And the only thing that they're seeing different with their eyes is that, oh, Mac's not in there, Zappi's in there. But it's so much deeper than that. I think that's a very surface level argument of just looking at the broad scope of things and saying, oh, well, Mac's not in there, Zappi's in there, and all of a sudden we're doing well. I think it's way deeper than that.
The other thing about this too is people are saying in the comments, I think Bailey Zappi's pocket presence is great. Mac Jones's pocket presence was nothing shy of good last year too. And he played with one of the worst offensive lines in the first 3 weeks. He was getting pressured and he was getting hit and he was stepping up and still making throws. So let's give Mac Jones an opportunity to come in and play against this offensive line, because he started playing really good football last year once Trent Brown got healthy and he was able to have a clean pocket around him. And Bailey Zappi's been a benefit of that this year in the last 2 games. The other thing is, he played against a Detroit team that's averaging the second most yards per game on defense at 430 almost. And then Cleveland, who's not far behind at the 12th most yards per game at almost 355. So again, the quality of opponent, the quality of defense, even like he's not going up against even top half of the defenses in the NFL by any means. He's playing against defenses that are not very good and have not stopped very many people this year. So yes, it's great to see Bailey Zappi doing this. Trust me, like all I want to see is the Patriots succeed, and I really don't care who it is, but realistically, the best chance New England has to take the next step and to be a great team is with Mac Jones right now. And I know that that's hard to see because Bailey Zappi might on the surface look like he's playing better football, but Mac Jones can do this and even more. He's just, he was missing receivers. He hadn't had chemistry with some of them throughout the start of the year. His offensive line was not giving him time. Matt Patricia is still developing as a play caller. So I'm not worried at all about this quarterback job. I think it's interesting, and I hope it pushes Mac Jones, which I think it will because he's a competitor. But I really think people turning on Mac Jones after 3 missed games or 2.5 missed games and then Bailey Zappi playing good football is a little premature. And I think that, if you were to go back and look at that one drive Bailey Zappi had, and I know that that's kind of an outlier in his first 2 games, but he was wildly inaccurate on those couple throws right there. And it looked bad for a minute there. And, he reeled it back in and was able to play good football for the rest of the day. But it's hard to say that he's just the answer through 2 games and that we're already, writing ship on our first round rookie quarterback who had almost a 70% completion percentage and won rookie of the year last year. So I think Patriots fans are being a little too unrealistic and hard on him.
Yeah, let me touch on this real quick. All right, go ahead.
It's just Cole, I think you said it already. Like if Mac Jones played this week and last week, we probably put 50 up on both these defenses.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Let's not get silly here.
Yeah. But so I just want to touch on this real quick. Mark says, check down Mac. That's all he did last year. I watched every game.
Isn't that what Zappi's doing right now?
Exactly. And before Mac got hurt, wasn't he second in the NFL in average depth of target?
Yes.
Second or third.
Even last year, I'll pull up the exact stat, but he was like top 8 in starting quarterbacks last year. Finished above Rodgers, finished above Brady. Like, go ahead. Yeah, he takes his checkdowns, but taking your checkdowns is also a smart way to play unless you want to see 3 turnovers a game. He's taking what the defense has given him. So that's such a dumb argument.
That's never a good argument. I mean, Zappi's doing just about all of Zappi's throws today were underneath, which is the right thing to do. And
except the wide open ones, like the Hunter Henry or like these guys breaking with 20 yards of separation. It's like, okay, yes, I expect him to make that throw, even though he's a rookie.
It's not like he's threading the needle really all that much. And again, and that's not a knock on Zappi at all.
Yeah.
I think he's being smart with the football. And I don't think it's a knock on either of them if they're taking checkdowns, because that's what he's supposed to do. He's especially against bad teams. The Browns and the Lions are bad teams. And so if bad defenses, like if they're giving you stuff underneath, you take that all day. And frankly, that's all you need to beat the Browns and the Lions. I want to see if we play a good team, like name it, like like the Bills, like you're consistently in third and long and there's nothing underneath. Like, who you rather have threading the needle downfield, Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi? And be honest.
It's Mac Jones all day. And I need to touch on this as well. Chad says, oh my God, no stop. When did Mac put up 5 touchdowns on bad teams? He played 4 games and was awful. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure we put up a 50-10 win against the Jaguars where Mac Jones had 3 touchdowns. Ramondre had 2 on the ground. Damian Harris had 2 on the ground. So it would have been more. 50 on the Jags last year. Also 45 against this same Browns team. I think that's interesting. And the defense is basically the same, except they had a little more healthy pieces that game, I believe. Their offense wasn't. I think Chubb and Kareem Hunt were out that game. But don't act like Mac Jones hasn't had good games where he can light up the scoreboard. You saw obviously at Bama, it's different. He had some weapons, but even when he was out his weapons, even when Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Mechie, when all these guys were hurt, he was still finding ways to have explosive plays and run the offense extremely well. So I don't know. I don't get all these things. And people take it as if you defend Mac, then you're crapping on Zappi. And that's just not what it is. I hate that me defending Mac Jones makes me come across as a Zappi hater, because I am extremely happy with what Zappi's done so far. I really am. He has done everything and more than what I could have expected him to do. 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, even if it's against a bad team. He's making the right reads, the right throws. Outside of that one drive where I texted Chase, I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrendous. Where he missed like 3 throws by like 5 yards right in a row. But other than that, I mean, is he making a million tight window throws like you said? No. Is he making some here and there when he needs it? Yeah, he's putting the ball up there. But also, Mac Jones was putting the ball up there to Devontae Parker. But he made the catch for Zappi. He didn't make it for Mac Jones. Jacoby's making some contested catches. When Zappi takes shots down the fields, the plays are getting made against these bad defenses when they weren't getting made when Mac was doing the same thing. So I think just more time in the offense, more communication, more reps. I think the offense is starting to get things running together smoothly. Patricia is starting to understand the strengths and weaknesses of this offense, and they were getting the run game going. They're using play action a lot, which helps a quarterback out tremendously. If you can run the ball and use play action, a lot of those plays that we had 40 yards of separation was run off play action. So I think all that combined, I think Zappi's been put in such a safer situation than Mac Jones to succeed. And I think if Mac is put in the same situation when he gets back, it's going to be a lot different.
Yeah, and Mac Jones has 310 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Tennessee Titans last year, who at the time, that was a battle for the number 1 seed in the AFC. I'm sorry, I love Bailey Zappi too, but I don't know if the Patriots could even get close to the number 1 seed in the AFC if they were to play Bailey Zappi for the rest of the year. Like what Mac Jones did for this team, who had a lot less talent, in my opinion, probably about the same amount of talent, because you lose JC Jackson stuff, but he didn't have the receivers. He doesn't have Devontae Parker. He doesn't have Tyquan Thornton.
We lost N'Keal Harry too.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. N'Keal
God.
Harry was he was the make or break thing. So I feel like it's recency bias. And if you were to go back and, really watch the tape on Mac Jones, I posted the video on it. I don't think he's playing as bad as he has. I think that there's been a lot of improvements since he's been out, and I don't expect him to just continue to play like crap. So if you really just want, as a Patriots fan, to right ship on Mac Jones and be done with him forever, then I think that that's a huge waste, and you'd probably go see him succeed somewhere else. You can't right ship on him. Yeah, there can be a quarterback controversy in your mind, but I guarantee you Mac Jones is going to win it, and Bill Belichick's going to tell you guys the same thing. This is Mac Jones's team to lose, and until he does something for a continued amount of time, and this team does not look like what they should, and they looked better with Bailey Zappi, I just don't see any way that when Mac Jones is 100% healthy, that this is not Mac Jones's team.
People really need to understand, like, just the situation for these two quarterbacks is so different. Just the first couple games versus these last couple games is just Mac Jones. Like I thought Patricia and the staff put Mac Jones in a bad spot to start the year with how they were operating. Like the offense just seemed out of click, and it wasn't working, and the play calls just didn't make sense. Like, again, I thought they should have kept it conservative, like they are right now. And Zappi's getting that conservative treatment that Josh McDaniels gave Mac Jones last year, and look what's working. Like, again, I don't think Bailey and Mac are all that different. I think you go with the vet, or the second year vet, I guess, if you say the guy can put up numbers and play well, like, and control the offense, and that's Mac Jones. I don't think playing games with Bailey Zappi versus Mac Jones, like, oh, we need to see him against a good team. Like, no, let's not play this game. Let's just. I think it's Mac Jones. Give it back. He gets it back whenever he's fully healthy. And Zappi, people got to appreciate that Zappi is now the reason that you can let Mac Jones get fully healthy.
Exactly. The other thing, and this is just going off of last week's stats, so this will be updated, but Bailey Zappi has thrown a play action pass on almost 38% of his snaps. Mac Jones was only at 11%. Mac Jones's best attribute, and the Patriots' best attribute, has been when they are able to run the ball effectively and make plays off of the play action passes, get Tyquan Thornton running down the field, get Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry. The other thing, Bailey Zappi, 20% of his screen passes have been, or 20% of his pass attempts have been screen passes. Mac Jones was only at 6%. Now, I get it. You can't live or die off the screen pass, but that just shows you how simple this offense has been with Bailey Zappi compared to Mac Jones. Mac Jones's drop back passes have almost been 80% straight up drop back, no play action, no screen, nothing. That is hard to do for anyone. Like that it's very predictable when you're just dropping back 40 times a game and you got no play action. The linebackers don't have to suck up. So I think that you're seeing a very dumbed down offense for Bailey Zappi, and it's working, but that's what we want to see as Patriots fans, them do with Mac Jones once he gets back, and, keep him, make it easier on him.
Yeah, Michael, we're going to get to your question in just a second. I just want to touch on this. Carlos says, honestly, the issue nobody's talking about is the rift this may cause in the locker room. Some guys might be thinking Zappi's better, and others might think Mac is. We'll see how it goes for them. So I just want to touch on this. Phil Perry reported that after last week's game, he went in the locker room and he talked to a specific player off the record and said, so we got a QB competition brewing. We got a controversy. And the player just laughed at him. Like, that should tell you what nobody here is thinking. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to say the majority of people, if not everybody, don't have anything in mind about, oh, Zappi's our guy. You can tell anytime anybody gets asked about Mac, the respect they have for him as such a young player, his toughness, his mental and physical toughness. I have a lot more trust in what Mac Jones is going to go out there and do, even if he's had some turnovers. I trust him to turn it around. What are you going to throw Zappi out there in a big game and then okay, what if he shits the bed? What if he does absolutely horrible and we're down 4 touchdowns and then Matt comes in? It's like, okay, well, we could have been in this game and won it, but now we just wasted a game of our season. So I don't know. I have confidence that you're going to need to make some down the field throws. You're going to need to make some plays and some quick decisions and some good decisions to beat good football teams. I have a lot more confidence that Mac Jones is going to be the guy that can do that over Bailey Zappi.
The other thing is this is, and we'll move on after this because we could talk about this all day. But the other thing is, this is why New England goes out and drafts a 4th round capable quarterback, is so that in situations like this, you're sitting at 3-3 and not 1-5. So everyone that was probably hating on the draft pick for Bailey Zappi right now and is now supporting Bailey Zappi, that's bullcrap. Like, this has been Mac Jones' team from day one. Bill Belichick knows exactly what he's doing when he's drafting these quarterbacks. And if anything, this is going to be Bailey Zappi's time to shine, and he might not get another chance, but some team might be able to take a chance and be like, hey, we'll give you a 3rd round pick for this dude because we got a serious quarterback issue, and I think we're selling high. We saw it with Garoppolo. How did Garoppolo turn out? I mean, he looked great in New England, and then
so did Jacoby Brissett.
I guess, yeah, you can say that he's
and Matt
been
Castle.
to a Super Bowl and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's been quarterbacks that have, as a team, had success outside, but individually, they have done nothing compared to what they did in New England. So, in my opinion, this is just a product of why Bill Belichick goes out and drafts these quarterbacks in the 4th round, and maybe as a head scratcher for some people, but this would be a lot worse if we're sitting here at 1-5 instead of 3-3, and now we're talking about, oh, hey, our 4th round quarterback might have a chance to start. Like, this is a good conversation to have, although I think it's unrealistic.
Yeah, and we could talk about this probably all night, just the quarterback situation. So we'll move on a little bit here just to get things rolling. But Jacob, I'm gonna have you touch on this first. Question from Michael. He says, "Why do they keep playing Wynn when they know he's getting benched at some point in the game and Cannon comes in for him?"
That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to that because he has been. You have to give me a minute to pull up the stat, but I saw this. What I saw was like throughout the first 6 weeks, he's terrible. Like,
He's
that's
atrocious.
all I can say. Terrible. He sucks. He's awful. I don't know why he hasn't been replaced with Cannon yet. He got benched today.
He's been benched every week the past 2-3 weeks, right?
He's been benched ever since Cannon came back. Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand the obsession with trying to keep him out there because it's been a train wreck and it's costing, like, with a young quarterback, like we keep talking about. Here it is. Week 2, 2 penalties. Week 3, 2 penalties. Week 4, 2 penalties, 2 sacks. And including strip sack, benched. Week 5, penalty. Week 6, first quarter, penalty, strip sack, allowed, benched. In the first quarter. Like, forget it. This guy, I've had enough of him. He was starting to show signs of decline last year where he wasn't living up to it. He was just, some weeks he was good, some weeks he wasn't. Now it's just crashing down. I've had enough. No more. Goodbye.
He's falling off a cliff at 26 years old. Brady's at
Bye-bye.
45, and it's different. Just kind of a question off that. Do you think it has anything at all to do with Marcus Cannon being older, him getting back into game shape and into the flow of things? Do you think that's the only logical explanation I can think of why Cannon is not playing full-time in this offense right now? Because Isaiah Wynn has been god-awful, and Cannon seems like he's held his own in there. I haven't noticed him, which is good for an offensive lineman. If you don't notice the offensive lineman's play, usually that's not a bad thing necessarily. Maybe it's not great, but it's usually not bad. So you think that has anything to do with it, or what would kind of your guess be if you had to throw a dart at the board?
Maybe they're trying to get him up to speed. He just got back a couple weeks ago, so it's
Yeah.
not like he's been here since training camp.
Yeah, exactly.
He is older. I know he was struggling the last time he was here, but right before we traded him. I don't know. That's a good question. I think if Wynn just continues to not play well, they're not going to have a choice but to bench him. Maybe they're seeing Cannon in practice and they're not exactly impressed. Like, I don't know. Just Wynn, they picked up Wynn's option, so maybe they're trying to justify that. I have no idea, but
I don't know why they did that.
And I wasn't totally against it. I thought he was fine. But up until about like halfway through last year, I'm like, this isn't right. And forget this year. I mean, good grief. So let's just hope we see Cannon starting one of these games soon, because like you can always count on a Patriots game with a false start offense number 76. It's like, oh,
every game at least once.
It's like clockwork. Like, come on.
What do you think about the whole situation, Jace?
When you're making headlines because you have committed the most penalties at the offensive line position through 6 weeks, that's probably not a stat that you should be taunting around the internet. So 8 penalties through his first 6 games. And the thing is they're like massive penalties. Like penalties always hurt you, but you think of the worst time to have a penalties after a 20-yard reception in the red zone on a 3rd and 2. It's freaking Isaiah Wynn that's getting them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what blows my mind. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think Cannon is a major step up at this point, but with the way Isaiah Wynn's played for honestly the last 3 years, I don't know how you keep putting him out there. So that's what blows my mind. Like he's waiting to kill our quarterbacks. I'm pretty sure Mac Jones got hurt because of Isaiah Wynn, right?
Brian Hoyer too.
Yeah, Brian Hoyer, right? Just wait. Bailey Zappi gets hit today. The fumbles on Isaiah Wynn's guy off of Myles Garrett. So it's mind blowing to me. I don't know if we really have another solution to other than Cannon, Marcus Cannon at that side, but it's something that needs to get figured out because it has been hindering this team down in multiple ways for 2-3 years, and it's frustrating to watch.
Even if Marcus Cannon is the same exact player as far as skill level goes or whatever, if he can just be more consistent and not commit penalties at key moments, then he's already an upgrade over Isaiah Wynn. And I don't think he can really be worse. I agree. I don't think he's a major upgrade, but if he can just not be Isaiah Wynn, then that's a win for us. So
that'd be cool.
Chad here says Wynn, Sony, Harris, and Mac. All of our first round picks have been awful. Harris.
So Harris wasn't a first round pick. And
Harris
Mac
was a
Jones,
4th, wasn't he?
He was a 3rd round pick.
Third?
And
Yeah.
I'd say Mac Jones has been pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you take 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting, I'm pretty sure that's better than most.
Yeah, you lead a 7-9 team to the playoffs the next year. I know there were.
Sony Michel was a major part in winning another Super Bowl for us.
Yeah, he was great. He was playoff run against the Chargers, Rams.
After that, but I love the Super Bowl he did win for us. So,
yep.
I'm not huge on the Sony Michel train, but I will say that I don't think he was a miss. I thought he was a little bit of a reach, but
yeah,
he was a good player, and I don't think you can dispute that. If
you're taking a running back in the first round, you want him to be a long-term solution.
Yeah, but but we don't want to go overboard and say he sucks. I don't think he sucks. He was a good player for us, so I don't think you can ignore that.
Yeah, I agree. Chad says Henry, my bad. Henry
instead of who?
Henry instead of Harris?
Who?
Oh, Nikhil. He means Harry.
Oh, Harry. Okay.
Yeah, this guy arguing all
Okay.
this stuff. And he forgets the biggest bust in Patriots history. That's okay. Carlos right here says something interesting. Cole, me and you talked about this during the draft and stuff. Austin Stuber coming back from Michigan. He was a 5-year starter. He played multiple positions on that offensive line. The knock about him is he's not overly athletic. Well, it sounds like a guy that we have on the offensive line right now in Trent Brown, who is a mammoth of a man, but he's not super overly athletic. So it will be interesting. I don't think he's the answer either. Maybe he comes in and plays as good as Isaiah Wynn and you cut out the penalties and he's, a big body in there and maybe he does have something. But I do know Bill Belichick can find some offensive linemen towards the back end of the draft that can be huge contributors. So maybe he's an answer. Maybe, and Michael Owinu is playing great at guard, but maybe you move him back out to tackle and you put Chase and Hines or someone else at a guard position. I don't know. I'm not saying you do that, but I'm saying if there's going to be experimenting, we all know Michael Owinu played great at right tackle his rookie year, and now maybe he's too comfortable at right guard to move him, and you don't want to make that many adjustments, but there could be a couple interesting solutions to the right tackle situation, in my opinion.
I got a solution. What if we trade Isaiah Wynn and trade a 6th-round pick for Shaq Mason?
No.
What do you guys think about that?
We will never get that.
What do you guys think about that?
Remind me.
Oh, it's just, I don't know, just some of this stuff.
This offensive line would be so good if you instead trade Isaiah Wynn and then you keep Shaq Mason at left guard and you can put Cole Strange at right guard and have a Winu at right tackle.
I don't care if we got nothing back for Isaiah Wynn.
That makes too much sense.
If you switch those two players, like, is this offensive line not clicking on a much higher level? Isaiah Wynn's not going to be back next year, so it's no different than Marcus Cannon. Anyways.
I got to say, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, go
Cole
ahead.
Strange has played exceptionally well up to this
really,
point.
really well so far. Yeah.
So I think that's a nice surprise. That I mean, because we drafted him in the first round, we kind of expect him to start, regardless of where he was projected. But he's showing up, and he's been a good player. I really don't have any gripes with him. I mean, I don't think he's been perfect, but that's fine for a first round rookie. Take it, perfect.
6 games in, and the transition and kind of level just from college to the NFL and kind of where he was to the Patriots is quite different. So him coming in and within the first month and a half doing what he's doing, he has exceeded all my expectations already. And I like a lot of what I've seen from him so far. I've watched some people break down some of his film, and he does some impressive stuff. And he's a physical, tough dude who's athletic and can move a lot better than a lot of offensive linemen. I think he adds some versatility to this offensive line as far as just the speed and athleticism goes. So I've been really impressed with what he's done so far as well.
I said this when he got drafted, tagged a reach in the first round, which a lot of us agreed with, but Nate Solder got reached for in the first round by New England, and he turned out to be a very, very good offensive lineman. And I told Cole this, I think I said it on the podcast. I was like, that pick to me is more of a, hey, we're going to protect our first round quarterback last year and the future of our franchise with someone that we think can fit our system and our scheme. Now, yeah, it's a reach, and people say you might have gotten him in the second round, but there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that are taking a lot of hits. Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow's still taking a lot of hits, and those guys are supposed to be the future of the franchise or your quarterback, and you don't want to be seeing him taking hits. So if you reach and take a first-round center or guard like you did in Cole Strange, he better be performing like he is. So I agree. There's been no complaints with the way Cole Strange has been playing.
Yeah, I think he's been awesome. All right, we'll move on to kind of the we'll name some good people, some bad, all that stuff. We'll take just a couple minutes on each player. I know we're already 40 minutes in, so we always seem to fall behind like this, but we appreciate all the comments and questions for you guys. So I'll start with you, Jason, then Jacob, you can go, and then I'll go. We'll start off with the good. First guy on your list. Anybody stand out to you in particular? Who did you think had the best performance today?
Yeah, for me, the best performance, and I know we just got done talking about this, but Bailey Zappi, right? I mean, you can't discredit what he did. And I know we're saying this is Mac Jones' team because I think Mac Jones does just as much as what was done today, if not more, as Bailey Zappi did. But Bailey Zappi does everything you can ask for from a rookie quarterback making his second start against a really bad passing defense. And he looked good moving in the pocket. He looked good spreading the ball around. He was making adjustments, only got sacked twice. He had a delay of game on third down on one of the first drives after the interception, but he makes up for it with a completion. And so we moved the sticks, but he was very impressive today. And it's why I say that this is why New England continues to take third or fourth round quarterbacks, because in a situation like this, when your starting quarterback gets hurt, you want to be able to lean on a guy like Bailey Zappi, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett, instead of someone that is undrafted or, maybe a Brian Hoyer type of guy in the league that's a journeyman and you really don't know what you're going to get from him. So Bailey Zappi, this game, probably the highlight of the offense, and there was a lot of good performances too, but 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions was really, really good to see on the stat line.
I'm going to go a little different, and I'm going to give a shout out to Tyquan Thornton. Yes. for having a game himself. He last week he was his NFL debut, and today put on a little bit of a show. Got a couple touchdowns. It's good to see.
I like it. I like seeing.
It's good to see. We have a young receiver who's out there making plays, which it's been a while since we've seen that. So let's take it and enjoy it, and hopefully it just grows.
I mean, we saw N'Keal Harry make that play against the Lions in preseason. Does that
there's a difference preseason?
I feel like our perspective on N'Keal Harry would change if the officials had 2 good set of eyes and just called him in downs on that touchdown against the Chiefs.
I will never get over that.
It's okay. Well, then it gives us something to look back on.
Then you'd be arguing for the rest of your life. We're like, well, he had this play against the Chiefs. So,
that's what I'm doing right now with the Lions.
He just had a couple. Bad.
What about the Rams game? He had that contested catch one time.
He had that one. Yeah, he had that catch, and I think we should give him more targets.
Well, what about this one? Well, he's a really good run blocker.
That's true.
How about that one, man?
I couldn't get a lot of that.
That one alone kept him on the roster for 3 extra seasons. So.
Good God! Wow.
All right.
All right.
On to the next one for me. I'm gonna put this as a whole group, just kind of the run defense in general.
Yes.
I mean, way better than I would have expected. Holding Nick Chubb to
56.
4.7 to carry, 56 yards, but he broke 2 or 3 of those late in the game, like Jace mentioned earlier. That I really think they pretty much, if I had to guess, 3 to 4 yards of carry was closer to what he was on the game without those couple runs. He was in check. Kareem Hunt, 3 yards of carry. I really was extremely impressed with how good this defensive line and the linebacking group in general did. We've had some trouble stopping the run last year. We've had some problems with some of our linebackers this year. I mean, we got lighter and more athletic, which is great, but we struggled stopping the run a little bit in certain situations. But the past couple weeks, this defense looks like it's flipped a switch. It has just been night and day from what we saw last year, even at points, and this year so far to start the year, the first few weeks. This defense has been so much better. And it's getting more consistent. Like that Packers game, first half was great. Aaron Rodgers had like 46 yards. Second half was not good, like 200 yards. So, and that Packers team apparently stinks, just like the Bucks apparently
God.
here. So, that was kind of
What a weird day.
Yeah. It was the day of underdogs for sure. But yeah, so I guess the run defense in general would be my next one on the good there.
Right here, Michael says Carl Davis, player of the game. If only he could have scored. Come on, we need a big man touchdown.
I love watching that.
We needed him to get in the end zone. So I'm looking for one right here. Why can't I find it? Someone mentioned, can we talk about Kyle Duggar? And I think it's been the case all year. And a lot of people have been saying it, like breakout year for Kyle Duggar. We've seen it. He struggles occasionally in pass coverage, but his run defense, his athleticism, he just makes plays all over the field. It's not at certain positions. It is in the backfield. It's at the line of scrimmage. It's in the secondary. He is always making plays. And when he hits someone, he hits someone. There was a time that Nick Chubb, I think it's the first one run he really broke, and he sticks him. Yeah, it's an 8-yard carry, but Kyle Duggar sticks him. And Nick Chubb is a hard runner and a tough guy to bring down solo, and he sticks him. So Kyle Duggar, what he's doing all over the field, if he can just continue to improve his pass coverage, he's going to be an elite safety, and he's already one of the best in the game, in my opinion.
And those, like, just as far as one of our most secure tacklers with some of the guys that we have in the secondary, and like you saw last year with the whole Jonathan Taylor run to win the game, broke that free. I know that was McCourty and Hightower, I believe, that missed those tackles, but we got some young guys. We got some rookies. We got Miles Bryant as far as small. I guess you could call him a veteran at this point a little bit. You got Jack Jones and Marcus Jones. Those are not the biggest dudes as far as tackling goes. So having a guy like Duggar who can just come in and just lay the boom and be a secure tackler in the run game, guard tight ends. I know, like you said, he has some struggles here and there. He didn't look great in pass coverage in the training camp, but he has been a lot better throughout the regular season. So he's improved there as well. Just seeing him get healthy, it adds such a different element to this defense. He really is becoming one of the brightest young stars in the game today. I really have a lot of faith in him, and I like what I've seen from his game.
Yeah. You got any more Pats to discuss, or Cole, before we move on? I feel like there was a lot of just like solid performances today.
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu Smith. We have been waiting a year and a half to see a play like that from Jonnu.
We finally see why we're paying him $13 million. So.
It's for one, that one play. But
you could say the whole tight ends, and maybe you're going to say this Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, 6 catches, 122 yards, get a touchdown from Hunter Henry. So maybe you just put the whole tight end group, finally getting involved in the game, in the passing game as one.
I had Devontae Parker as one, just a nice contested catch there. He had a couple big catches as far as, I think that was on 3rd down, I believe, that first big one on the sideline. Great catch. Jacoby, always Mr. Reliable. He had a good game. That's kind of what we just come to expect from him. He had 4 catches for 60 yards. Nothing crazy, but just showing up when we need him to. And then the 3rd down defense, we held them to 4 for 15 on 3rd down. So I thought our 3rd down defense was good. Just good situational football. And then that special teams, the fumble on the punt, even though we almost had a bad special teams play there with the whole onside kick situation. But that kind of wraps it up for what I have as far as the goods go. Like you said, the tight ends did well. Taekwon, as Jacob mentioned, and then the defense as a whole. I mean, it's hard to single out players because they all swarmed with the football, and they all were part of the run game. It wasn't just one specific guy.
Yeah. Let's move on to the bad. There might not be many of these either. Do one of you guys have a bad either player or someone that stuck out? I think I know what the first one's gonna. That's gonna
Isaiah
be
Wynn, move on.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
That's
first
all
one,
I
Isaiah
wanted to
Wynn.
hear.
Yeah. Second one is related to this. I'm going to just say penalties. I mean, it was horrendous. It was just over and over and over again. Just penalties killing us. They've done it all season. And even going back to last year and even the year before a little bit, the penalties with this football team it hasn't been the same since Brady's been gone and the whole new regime, whatever. Like, not that Brady had a lot to do with the offensive lineman having a false start or a hold or whatever. I'm not saying that, but just in general, it doesn't seem like it's as consistent and productive as far as keeping the penalties to a minimum, not beating yourselves. It seems like we haven't done that as much over the past few years, and I think that's probably why we're kind of where we're at instead of at the top of the playoff race. But penalties, they were big standout today in our struggles.
12 for 92 to be exact, and I think we had 8 of them before halftime. I thought that there was a stat that was thrown up there that was the most in any half by a Bill Belichick team. So yeah,
fantastic.
Exactly right.
Speaking of the other tackle, Trent Brown,
I was going to mention
had a few penalties as well.
Yeah,
I mean, a little slack. He's going up against Myles Garrett, so a little bit of slack, but I didn't think he had a great game either. So that would be another negative for you.
How about
well.
We haven't said this much, but Nick Folk misses. Now,
no, the streak's over.
I turned off my phone because I was doing something for football. I turned off my phone for like 5 minutes because I saw he was going out to kick a field goal. And then I came back and saw he missed it. So I actually didn't see. Was it a bad miss or what happened exactly?
What would you say? What, 5 feet to the right, maybe 3 to 5 feet?
Okay.
Something like that. Somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously, so I don't know.
So I guess you can blame me for being too confident and turning it off. But yeah, the streak that he had.
I don't think I saw it.
That seems like a mistake on your part.
64 straight inside 40, I think it was, or
inside 30 or 2020, the first week from inside there. So that was good.
Sucks.
I was at one point going to put this as a bad, but overall they kind of bounced back. The red zone offense and kind of play calling in general, I didn't love the same formation, same play.
Yeah.
Just on a different side.
Yeah. It's like, we're gonna get him here. We're gonna put Ramondre on the opposite side and do the same play up the
kind of reminded you of that Seahawks game in 2020 with Cam Newton.
At the
goal line.
Except those worked like some of the time. And then they switched it up with the pass and then he got it. But then that last play of the game, everybody knew what was happening. You know what I mean? So
the other thing about that is you got Kevin Harris, who hasn't had an NFL carry yet, and Ramondre Stevenson. Who do you think that they're going to think is going to get the ball? So maybe a little bit more creativity and do like an outside run or give it to Kevin Harris or something. That I agree with you. The same formation, I get trying it one time, but coming out in the same formation and just flipping it to the right and doing it again was a little bit. I was like, they have a lot of confidence in getting 1 yard with their offensive line, but that was very, very interesting of them to do.
Yeah, and I kind of just want to mention this point, but from Carlos, draft class showed out today. So many rookies not only played, but they made big contributions. I couldn't agree more. This draft class so far looks great. I mean, we're getting great contributions from Jack Jones. He didn't make any bad plays today. He almost had a crazy one-handed interception at the end zone. That would have been ridiculous. But he's got so much energy. I know he's going to get burned at some point with his aggressiveness, his aggressive play style, but he's been making plays for us and he's been impressive. Marcus Jones in the punting and kicking game, I think he's been good. I think he's definitely an improvement over Miles Bryant because he catches the football. So that's a step in the right direction. And then I'd like to see him to continue to get on the field. He went up against Amari Cooper at one point, which is a pretty big matchup size-wise, and it was incomplete. I know he didn't necessarily do a whole lot there, but I don't know. Between Cole Strange, the two Jones guys, and then the running backs obviously didn't have a huge contribution today, but I feel like we're getting a lot from this draft class in general between Zappy and the Taekwon and the corners and Cole Strange. I feel like we've had a lot of production. We haven't had this much production from a rookie class, I feel like, in a while.
I was a little disappointed that we only saw 2 carries combined from Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. I thought we'd get a little bit more.
I wasn't that surprised.
I mean,
they're real stubborn with rookie running backs.
Yeah, they are.
I know, but when you got Ramondre in there, and I get it, you want to ride. True. You want to ride. I think he's a bad for trying to joke with Bill Belichick mid game. That's why I'll give him a bad.
No.
I'm just trying to give him the ball, but no, I don't know. I would have at least liked to have seen 5 between the two. Maybe you give 3 to Pierre and 2 to Kevin Harris. But again, they only ran it 29 times. It's not like they were force feeding the ball to Ramondre. I think that about 20 carries, he had 19 is right for him. You don't want to overuse him. You still want to get him his touches. Plus, he had 4 receptions, so he almost has 25 total touches, which I think is about right when he's the only running back in and Damian Harris is out. But I was a little excited to see Pierre Strong or Kevin Harris get a couple more carries, and it just didn't happen.
Thornton got more carries on the backs.
Did Miles Bryant give up a touchdown today? I don't remember. Someone gave up a touchdown in the end zone today. I thought it was him.
I think that the one to Amari Cooper was on Jalen Mills, right?
Was it on Mills?
That was on Jalen Mills. Yeah, which was honestly a very good catch.
Yeah, that was a great catch.
Yeah, because Mills was arguing a push off, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was Mills. Yeah. I think I was way more impressed with Jalen last year than anybody else. It seemed like everybody was hating on him. I thought he was doing better than advertised. And this year he was hyped up as being locking down Devontae Adams in training camp, and he just hasn't.
Yeah,
I think you could argue he's been our 3rd best corner so far this year on the outside.
These guys are right. It was on Miles Bryant because they moved Cooper into the slot, and that's what put Miles Bryant on. And so you're right. That touchdown was on Miles Bryant. I forgot about that.
And I asked that because I'm getting a little sick of the Miles Bryant experiment, because he's another guy he's routinely, like, you see him everywhere, and not for a good reason. It's because whether it's on punt coverage, like you like fielding a punt, like in coverage, you
can't hide him.
It's been less than ideal. He's a little guy, but he's pretty obvious out there because he keeps getting burnt. So, speaking of corners that have been a little disappointing, he's been pretty disappointing.
That's fair.
The other thing though is Marcus Jones got mossed by Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, anyone that's very short, like both Miles Bryant and Marcus Jones, and is going up against a 6'2" receiver is already at a disadvantage. Yeah. But that's why when they first drafted Marcus Jones, not that I hated the pick, but you say this guy might struggle with certain matchups in the NFL because he's just going to give up 4 to 5 inches on a regular sized X or Z receiver on the outside. So you did see that. I think that Miles Bryant has been not very bad, but he's been bad this year, but his size doesn't help him by any means. He's not 6 foot and getting mossed. He's at least 5'9". So you at least say, oh, it makes sense why he's getting mossed, but there's been a couple times where he just hasn't even been close in coverage either. And I think that you have Shaun Wade on the roster who played great at the slot corner, he played good at slot. And then when he moved outside to play outside corner his senior year at Ohio State or the last year, that's when he had his worst year. So maybe you give Shaun Wade a chance. Maybe you just continue to throw Marcus Jones in there and give him more snaps. But yeah, the Miles Bryant experiment does not seem to be working out right now.
Shout out to Jonathan Jones he's been playing. I know he didn't play today, but but up to now he was playing fantastic as an outside corner.
Yes.
I did not think he was this versatile where he could be one of the best slot corners in the game and then play this well on the outside. I mean, I've been super impressed with him. He's been awesome there on the outside. But as far as the injury front goes, I believe so. Obviously, Mac didn't play today, and then Christian Barmore was ruled out. They said he was ruled out, and then I saw him on the sideline, pushing one of the trainers, like looking like he was getting ready to go back in. So that was kind of confusing. But he had a big brace on. He got injured, walked off the field. I haven't seen any updates on that, but that's one thing obviously to monitor, especially with Lawrence Guy. He didn't play today, and then Barmore going out as well. That defensive line took a little bit of a hit. So
Cody Davis with a knee injury, and Kendrick Bourne left with a toe injury.
Yep,
did not return.
Dietrich Wise got hurt too, right? Did he come back
towards the end of the game?
Towards the end.
Yeah. I don't know if he came back or not, but he was available post game, which usually means you're all right.
Good sign.
So that's a good sign. But yeah, I think the Cody Davis one looked like the most serious, just as far as non-contact. That's never good. So that's tough. Kendrick Bourne seems like Aguilar's out. You got a rookie coming in. It felt like an opportunity for him to kind of continue to grow his snap percentage, and it's kind of a tough break for him there, getting hurt there early in the game. And He made a play early on.
Yeah,
I think
he
it was like
did.
the first drive, and then I think
I
he
think it
got
was on
hurt.
that first third down that I talked about
Yeah.
where you get the delay a game by Bailey Zappi, and then you move him back, and it's like 3rd and 7, and he finds Kendrick Bourne for that. What was it? A 20-yard pass, 17-yard pass.
Yeah. And I heard people talking about the whole Aguilar thing last week. People were saying, "Oh yeah, he got hurt," and was like, didn't think it was real. I heard that on the radio a lot last week, but I'm pretty sure after one of the plays, I don't know if it was he was blocking or I was after an interception or what it was, but he pulled up and grabbed his hamstring, and I saw him limp off, and that was so. I'm assuming that's when he got hurt, and then he wasn't this week, but he wasn't in this week. But Aguilar getting benched, I what do you guys think about that in general? Because he has not been good.
Guy, send him to the moon.
Yeah, especially with Taekwon, they're kind of the same skill set. I would much rather have Taekwon be growing and getting the snaps than a guy who's not going to be here next year and keeps turning the ball over. I mean, he can't catch.
Yeah,
Like,
if Bourne is fine and Thornton continues to get better, you can
I feel
put
good.
him on a bus with Isaiah Wynn and send him off. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And
okay
Odell Beckham Jr. is getting signed here in the next week or two.
Okay,
right?
yeah, there's
I
always
forgot
that.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot
the
about
yearly
that.
Odell rumors.
I've heard him for 5 years. So
I was just what I'm saying. Like you could put him in your calendar for like next year too.
just circle around November or free agency and then just write
Trade deadlines.
OBJ trade / free agency rumors to New England because it happens every year. No matter how you're going to get him, it's going to happen. So
yeah.
It's
like
plus with James White out, the Christian McCaffrey being on the trade block, he's coming here too. I heard.
Oh yeah, but I think it's a fair trade to get DJ Moore, Brian Burns, and McCaffrey for.
And Derek Brown, don't forget him.
Nelson Aguilar, Isaiah
Wynn, Miles Bryant can go. Yeah, I think
and
that's
a
fair trade.
And a seventh.
And a seventh, yeah. Maybe 2 seventh. The seventh
maybe Hoyer too. Throw Hoyer in there.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Hey, he might start for the Browns right now, the way that quarterback team is. So,
jeez.
yeah.
All right.
I had one more good. I just thought
ahead.
of it, and I was looking at it. We talked about Jake Bailey the other week. I talked about his net punt and how I thought he was hitting the ball well. Well, this week he has 4 punts, 3 of them down inside the 20. You talked about flipping the field position and not only just putting it in the end zone, you're down in it inside the 20. And then obviously the huge one where the guy fumbles, Brandon Schooler gets it. So, Jake Bailey, I know a lot of people have been disappointed in him. I don't think he's been great, not as good as he was his first couple of years, but it was at least good to not just see him yoking moonshots into the end zone and at least giving the guys a chance to keep it in play.
Like I mentioned last week, that's kind of why I was disappointed. I just felt like he was bombing it, but it was going in the end zone. So it's like, okay, like that's good that you have a good leg, but can we try to get it down and flip the field position and put him in a tough spot? And I think he did a better job of that this week. So I was impressed. You got any other final thoughts, Jacob, or anything you want to talk about before we head out of here?
Yeah, I have one more question for you guys. Does after these last couple weeks and with Bailey Zappi and this whole situation, does this change how you view the team going forward?
Go ahead, Jace. I'll let you go first.
In the long term.
As far as like long term this year or like long,
This year.
like, okay, go ahead, Jace.
I don't think it does because me and Cole, when we both did our preseason predictions, we expected this team to be 9-8,
Exactly
8-9, right on the bubble, right on pace for what they are right now. I think that what you're seeing is that they're beating the teams they're supposed to, and they're playing tough games against teams that are maybe a little bit better than them, but they can't figure out how to win. And I think that's because of the lack of talent and maybe, a little bit of underperformances. Obviously, the Mac Jones injury will be the key for this, but I've said this ever since last year when we drafted Mac Jones. In my opinion, this is a 3 to 4 year rebuild, and you really won't see the Patriots. You definitely won't see the Patriots competing with the Bills or the Chiefs anytime soon. You got to get more talent at both the receiver position, at, maybe the linebacker position, maybe even, depending on what happens with Damian Harris, you might need to find another running back if Pierre Strong or Kevin Harris don't pan out. Who knows what the tight end situation is going to be, although I think Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are good. Their contracts will be up. So it doesn't change my opinion on what this team is this year. I think that they can push for a playoff spot if they keep playing like this and Mac Jones comes back and plays as good as we all expected him to play. I think this team has a very good chance at pushing for that 7th wildcard spot. And if they get it, we'll find out. But when you continue to beat AFC teams like the Browns and stuff who might be in there in the end game and you might be fighting for and jostling for position with, it helps to have the head-to-head battle against these teams. And that's what we saw New England have last year when they beat the Chargers. They beat the Browns again. They beat some of those teams. So I don't think it really changes my mind, no.
I'll say that I feel better about the outlook on the season right now than I did 2.5 weeks ago.
Yep.
A lot better. I think it's night and day. As far as getting my hopes up to where we're going to make the playoffs and be a top 5 seed or anything like that, I'm not ready to push that overreaction button yet. We're beating up on teams we're supposed to beat up on. Before the season started, we did our full predictions. I did this with you, Jacob, as well. And this is exactly, so far the season has gone exactly how we predicted it to. So
Yeah,
that's about what I expected so far, and that's what they're on par with. I expected that they're going to play the Bears, Jets, Colts, Jets, Vikings, and then they're getting into the Bills. I know the Vikings are 4-1, but they kind of don't play that great.
I was shocked when I looked at their record and saw they were 5-1 today. I was like,
is it 5? Yeah, 5-1.
yeah, because they won. I was like, what?
Yep. So that was surprising. But ask me again in 2 months if we beat the Bills, if we beat, I guess the Bengals. The Bengals don't look as good as they were made out to be.
Stink.
The Dolphins, I guess it's just really the Cardinals have been bad, but they're going to get Hopkins back, and I think they're going to look a little better, maybe. I think
The Jets are now real games.
I was going to say the Jets. The Jets are the two opponents that are two games that are better because they're going to be harder than we expected. The rest of them, I think, are going to be easier, except the Bills. Those are going to be not fun. But if we start competing against these other teams and start putting up points and the defense is locking them down like this, I'm going to feel a lot better. But I'm not ready to push any overreaction button and say that, oh, this team's going to the playoffs and is going to make a run or anything like that. I feel good about where we're at. I'd like to see this team continue to make progress. Matt come back, get healthy, and see this offense continue to roll and this defense continue to roll. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as this season outlook goes.
Yeah, that's about where I am. I mean, I don't want to start overreacting. Like, it reminds me a lot of last year where like they started a little slow, picked it up with a winning streak, then fell back down.
Exactly. We saw it with the Patriots in, what was it, 2019 too? They started off like 8-0 and then they played the Ravens or something.
Yep.
We've seen this before.
We've seen it before. The strength of schedule matters. I think the strength of the opponent matters. You're beating up on bad teams right now. You're playing another one this week. By instinct, I want to say the Jets are bad, but they've been playing well and they have a winning record. So I guess I can't call them a bad team grudgingly. Colts stink. Vikings kind of stink. So, I mean, if you beat up on the bad teams, that's great, but you also got to beat some real ones. I mean, yeah. I don't have the stat in front of me, but I heard a stat somewhere that like they have a losing record against teams with a winning record in the last few years. Like they're struggling to beat playoff teams, and it's just until you start beating like higher caliber teams than you have been. My meter's not going to go up that much higher than it is right now.
Yeah, so, I agree. And I mean, we're fourth in our own division right now, so it's hard to really say that like we're going to be making this big run. But I definitely feel better about where we're at right now than a few weeks ago. I think we're trending in the right direction. This offseason, as far as the long-term outlook goes, Isaiah Wynn's going to be off the books. Nelson Aguilar, we got some cap space. Hopefully we can bring some pieces in here and continue to draft well. That's just, as we can see from this year so far, if you draft well, it's going to set you up for success in the future. It's going to make you so much better off than if you keep struggling with drafting like we have in the first round and with all those players that Mike or whoever named earlier. But I think that's all I got. You guys got anything else? Or
I'm good.
The only thing I got, make sure you guys go check out Underdog Fantasy. We partnered with them. If you guys use code PATSDRIVE on either their website, underdogfantasy.com, or the app, you can get your first deposit up to $100 match. You guys can do over-under pick'ems. You guys can do weekly fantasy, daily fantasy. You can do any sport that you want. It's legal in 41 of the 50 states. So it's not like most sports books where you're probably out of luck because of the state you live in. This is a lot more enjoyable and a lot more available to most people. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you go check that out. Use our code. It would help support us. We'd appreciate it. And then maybe you guys can hop in some of these game spreads over under picks like we do on our pregame show. But other than that, it was fun. Good Patriots win streak. Thanks for Pat's Discuss for coming on. Make sure you guys go follow him on Instagram. It's just at pats.discuss, right?
Yes, sir.
And then follow both of us, which our names are on our screen. And we'll be back on Wednesday most likely, or Thursday. Stay up to date when we do that for the Bears pregame show. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on, Jacob.
Thank you for having me.
Like Jace just said there, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go follow Jacob, Pats.Discuss. He puts out a lot of really great content. very unbiased, gives you the real what you're looking for as a Patriots fan if you want to hear an honest opinion, not just biased Pats fan. So I appreciate his insight all the time. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again, Jacob, for coming on, and we will talk to you guys Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.